The Galaxy A57, Pixel 10a, and iPhone 17e. Which one is a better choice? The Galaxy gives you a large display while being slim and lightweight. The Pixel 10a is very minimalist, both in hardware and software, with a huge battery. The iPhone 17e is smaller than both, and even though it has only one camera and a 60Hz display, it does excel in performance. But the differences do not stop there. And today, with the help of Tanya, we are going to test everything about these phones. Even though the Galaxy is the largest phone, it is not the heaviest. The iPhone 17e is the lightest at only 169 grams. The A57 weighs 179 grams, and the Pixel 10a weighs 183 grams. They are all IP68 water and dust resistant. They all have an aluminum frame, but the back of the iPhone 17e and the Galaxy is made out of glass, while the Pixel uses plastic. The iPhone 17e is the only phone that has a MagSafe back, so you can attach MagSafe accessories to it. The iPhone 17e and Pixel 10a support wireless charging, while the A57 does not. Mid-range phones usually have some corners cut, and in the case of the iPhone 17e, one of those is the display. The iPhone 17e does not have the highest advertised brightness level, which can be a bit problematic under direct sunlight. On the other hand, the iPhone 17e is the only phone that has a strong anti-reflective coating. The iPhone 17e is also limited to 60Hz, compared to 120Hz display of the Galaxy and Pixel. That means animations may not feel as smooth. Size-wise, iPhone 17e is 6.1 inches, the A57 is 6.7 inches, and the Pixel 10a is 6.3 inches. For unlocking, the iPhone 17e uses Face Unlock, while the Galaxy and Pixel have optical under-display fingerprint scanners. One of the main differences between the phones is the number of cameras. The iPhone 17e only has a wide main camera, the A57 has a triple camera setup with ultrawide, wide and macro, while the Pixel 10a has an ultrawide and a wide camera. For the main camera, the A57 has the largest sensor size. It is a 1 divided by 1.56 inch sensor, which is similar to what we see on the iPhone 17 and Galaxy S26. The Pixel 10a and iPhone 17e have smaller sensors, which can be a bit problematic in low light and also give less natural background blur. Here you can see the background blur is stronger on the A57. For colors, the Pixel has a strong magenta tone, the Galaxy is warmer, and the iPhone has a greenish tone. For the indoor shot, if you look at the plants in the background, you can see that only the Galaxy has a bit of a natural blur, while the other two have everything in focus. The Pixel and iPhone also expose the scene more than the Galaxy. If you want more background blur on these small sensors, you need to use portrait mode. Here, they all did acceptable job creating this portrait at 2x zoom. In this shot as well, aside from some color differences, I find them quite close in terms of overall quality. But sometimes, the colors between the three are vastly different. You may ask which one is closer to reality, and the answer is that the real scene was somewhere in between all three. One advantage of the larger sensor can be better quality at night, but here they are all doing heavy processing, so it is difficult to say one is clearly better than the others in terms of optical quality. They can all record 4K video with the main lens. Here, the Pixel is creating a very contrasty look, the A57 is doing a good job overall, and for the iPhone 17e, the background is overexposed and highlights are lost. Neither of the phones have a great selfie camera. They all have a tiny sensor that is only 12 to 13 megapixel. In terms of processing this photo though, I do prefer iPhone, especially how it exposes both my face and Tanya's. The Galaxy A57 and Pixel 10a has an ultra-wide camera, something the iPhone 17e lacks. That means you won't be able to make wider shots, as you can see here. The Pixel can take macro shots with the ultra-wide camera, and Galaxy has a very low resolution macro camera which doesn't have a great quality. You can take macro shots with iPhone 17e. For performance, The Pixel and Galaxy are not using a flagship chipset, while the iPhone 17e does. Pixel is sporting Tensor G4, the Galaxy running on Exynos 1680, and the iPhone is sporting A19, which is the same chipset you can find on iPhone 17. I ran Geekbench, and here for single core, the iPhone getting double of Pixel and even more of that compared to the Galaxy. On multi-core too, the iPhone is getting more than double of the score of the other two phones. Generally, I do find the Pixel 10a the smoother among them in daily tasks. The A57 does lag from time to time, most likely due to the low single-core performance, and iPhone 17e also lags sometimes, but it is more due to the 60Hz display that animations are not always smooth, but for heavy tasks, the iPhone 17e would be the best choice. For battery life, the iPhone 17e has a 4000 mAh battery, the A57 has 5000 mAh, and Pixel 10a has a 5100 mAh. I did a very simple test including the things you have seen in this video, like using the camera and browsing a bit, together with playing YouTube for 2 hours, and by the end of the test on 5G, the Pixel had 68%, the A57 64%, and iPhone 60% battery left. One of the main reasons to pick one of these phones over the others is the operating system. Generally, Pixel Android is very vanilla and easy to use. You don't have much distraction, and there are some genuinely useful features like call screen. OneUI 8.5 looks very nice. That said, I do find it sometimes a bit heavy for a mid-range phone, even though it gives you more options than vanilla Android. iOS is of course iOS. You don't get some of the Android features like clipboard history or proper file management, but it's familiar for those who already use iPhone or other Apple products. They all get similar AI features these days. For example, you can press the power button to connect to Gemini or Apple Intelligence and ask your questions. Unfortunately, I realized the A57 does not have all the AI features you find on the Galaxy S series. To my disappointment, it does not have the text selection tool in AI Select, which I use daily. This option somehow exists on iPhone in a more limited form, and Pixel surprisingly lacks it even on their flagship phones. Another small difference between the three phones is that the iPhone 17e and Pixel 10a support satellite SOS in certain regions, while the A57 lacks that feature. So overall, which one would I recommend? The iPhone 17e is a fine choice as long as you accept the 60Hz display and having only one camera. The upside is great performance, MagSafe support, and running iOS at a lower price. The Galaxy A57 is a good choice if you want a larger display and the OneUI ecosystem. What it lacks is performance and some hardware advantages you find on other mid-range Android phones like a telephoto camera. The Pixel 10a is for people who want the Pixel vanilla Android experience. The size is also kind of perfect, not as big as the A57 and not too small where the keyboard feels cramped. The downside is similar to the A57. There are other Android phones in this price range that offer more hardware. If you want more, you can also go for the compact flagship versions like the iPhone 17 or Galaxy S26. If you want to see how those phones compare to each other, you can watch this video next. Thanks for tuning into Techmo, and I will see you in the next one.